The theme of education for the generations is so timely. In our world right now, we're in a pretty critical state. In our country, we understand that it's not just about the education of our children, but in many cases, it's 3 generations of education. Our parents and our grandparents, because many of our grandparents are now being called on to help raise a generation. And many of our parents themselves don't always feel that they got what they needed in order to be able to help their children. So that the idea that education at all levels is critical to family success. And I'm glad that these are the kinds of things that Project Hope continues to work towards.
Project Hope it opened the door to so many things that I didn't even think that would even happen. I was given the opportunity to start in the training program. I became an assistant within the family childcare program, but also it opened up the doors for even me working on my clinical doctorate right now to become a neuropsychologist. And no one would even think about it. It just takes one opportunity, one chance to open so many doors.
Project Hope is a space where folks are encouraged to have hope in themselves and others around them. It continues to be a source of inspiration. I became a One Family Scholar at the end of my first year in college. I was a young mother, and unfortunately, there weren't a lot of resources in terms of emotional or social supports for students that were enrolled in college and also parents. After getting into the program, my entire life changed because I was able to have sisters that were going through the same things that I was experiencing. I was able to obtain a scholarship to complete my education. And outside of that, these sisters that I met continue to be my sisters today.
When I think of Project Hope, to me was the fact that they went above and beyond. It wasn't just enough to provide housing. It was looking at all of the needs that family had. So originally we were providing shelter. Then we were looking at way of how to help people get into their own homes. That still isn't enough. You need education, you need support, you need skills. Every time a new door needed to be opened, Project Hope was ready to open that door, to peek through, to see what the needs were, and we're ready to go above and beyond. It wasn't just staying with the status quo where they began. It was really thinking, talking with families, understanding the growing needs, and looking at the best ways of providing those next steps.
We see the landscape for folks, the job landscape especially, decreasing in terms of opportunities in smaller communities and for folks that are lower wage workers. Nonprofits like Project Hope allow for folks to receive job training, educational supports, and housing supports that will continue to have them in their homes and put them into new job opportunities. So we need to continue to fund these spaces and actually expand them beyond what they're currently doing.
I would suggest people come to Project Hope for services because it is probably one of the few organizations in the city that really welcomes people and wants to help them to grow up and out of poverty, but at the same time to grow their own educational awarenesses and services to help them to really develop a broad range of life skills that are going to really help them to become independent. I'd like to thank Project Hope for leading the way. I thank them for just being open and welcoming to everyone that walked through their doors or walked down the street or just needed the support. Thank them for just being a good neighbor.